Let's freaking go. Let's go. Let's have a fun, open-minded live stream today. All I've been doing today, I'm being dead serious, is I have been looking at some Walker Howard film all day and trying to figure out why did they knock him down off of 5-star? Okay, why is he only a 4-star recruit? Which is funny because he only like slid down 20 slots and he is where he is now. So it is really interesting. I've been doing some deep dives trying to figure out what exactly happened, why he went down in the rankings the way that he did. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Obviously, the question of the night: what is the toughest regular season loss that you've ever experienced as an LSU fan? Now, obviously, the answer for everyone when it comes to every game is going to be 19-12 when we lost in the rematch to Alabama. But of course, there is more to it than just that. I just want to talk about the regular season, right? Because what's really interesting about a regular season loss is you're experiencing that more than likely in Tiger Stadium or in a visiting stadium. I remember in 2008 when we lost to Tim Tebow, Brandon Spikes, and that Florida team. I went to that game in Gainesville, and it was brutal. It hurt my soul so bad. So tonight we're going to talk about that. Next week we'll talk about your favorite regular season victory. Shout out to Yusha. Yusha, I don't think you were here for the last live stream. We did a huge shout out for you, man. We are in your corner during this very difficult time. Yusha holding down the PHL chapter in Ukraine. We love you, man. We really do. Tommy, Mick, 0-3 loss to UF. Ooh, yeah, that was kind of brutal too. That was the only loss. At least LSU was able to come back and win, right? But I think most of you are going to say, because it is the most recent and it did feature our dear beloved son Joe Burrow, I think a lot of you are going to say that game. So obviously we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some current LSU news and notes. And, I was obviously very active today on Twitter talking about Walker Howard. So I want to get into that as well, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a little shocked at the amount of Walker Howard skepticism that there is out there on the interwebs. And what's really interesting about the class of 2022 and the quarterbacks is a lot of guys just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So it's kind of tough to really fully evaluate this class when you had guys like Drew Allard jump 1,000 slots. You had guys like Ty Simpson continue to ball out. So, I started looking at, does it have anything to do with the injury history? Does it have anything to do with height or weight? So those are things that we have coming up on the channel, and I know a lot of you are really excited about that. What's good, Noel, holding down our New York City chapter? King Roberto is in the house. Chris, my guy, is sending me a bunch of really cool LSU stuff. A lot of you have been sending me some LSU stuff that we're going to give out on the channel. King Roberto. Tommy's been worried about you, Yusha, because Tommy's been with the channel for quite some time, Tommy and Tracy, and we are with you. We really are. LSU versus Alabama in 2014 also hurt. That's part of it too, is that Alabama ripped our hearts out in 2012 and 2014 as well on final second drive. So it's kind of interesting, right? LSU has been dominated by Alabama for over a decade, but some of those games were really, really, really close. And that's part of the pain of the 2019 victory, is so many Bama fans like to claim we only lost by 5 when it was our own mistakes that allowed them to be a part of that game. That was actually LSU from top to bottom. That was the best game that they played all year when you factor in the team that you were going up against. And on top of that, the difficulty. This actually makes me really happy. Here's Leonard right here. I love Leonard. You guys know Leonard is one of the many power line workers that watch this channel. Good to see you, Leonard. You got the switched up avatar. I love it. Both of y'all rocking the shades. That's really good stuff right there. Danny shouting out Tommy and Tracy. Urban Zabrero's back on the channel. So as always, the best way to get to your topic, if you want to talk anything LSU football, once again, it's the off season. We're going to be a little bit more open-minded. Any topic that you want to bring up, feel free to bring it up. If you super chat, Venmo, Cash App, I go straight to it. Obviously, a little bit later in the live stream, we'll talk about other LSU sports topics, such as I have been talking more about Kim Mulkey on here. LSU baseball, LSU basketball. I'll get into that a little bit later, but this is, of course, an LSU football channel. And obviously, thank you, as always, King Robert, dropping the biggest super chats of all time. I really do appreciate you. I am nothing without King Robert. I'm dead serious. You guys think I'm playing. I'm telling the daggum truth. King Robert, one of my best buds. Obviously, we were supposed to FaceTime on Wednesday. We both kind of forgot about it, but we're going to FaceTime tomorrow, King Robert. You know it. That's my fault. So let's do that tomorrow. And I do want to throw this out here. Obviously, I am a super duper happy person. And I know this is supposed to be an escape from what you guys have to deal with every last single day in your lives. I know we talked about Leonard a minute ago. He was putting together all our power lines after obviously the bad weather that Louisiana goes through every year. So shout out to you, Leonard. I do want to shout out again, Yusha and everything going on in the Ukraine. Obviously, Yusha has definitely spread the love of this channel. And I love the fact that we have Ukrainian viewers. I love the fact that we have viewers from all around the world. And part of why, this scheduling snafu happened with me and King Robert's weekly FaceTime is I did. And once again, this gets really serious. And I'm a very personal person with all of you. I'm getting to know a lot of you personally. I did lose a friend to suicide. And I just want every single one of you to know that you are loved. And that's been on me. It's been tough. So yeah, that's part of what's going on in my world, but this is as much an escape for me as it is for you watching wherever you are, whether it be mobile, on the screen, and all of that. So it sucks. I think we all have gone through this with someone losing their life to suicide. It obviously is something very near and dear to my heart. And this was obviously a very emotional time. And I hated that. So once again, if you are one of those people struggling, obviously you can always hit me up on any social media platform at Carter the Power. So we're definitely going to get through this together. Yusha, we are with you right now. Love you, man. But yeah, it sucks. It really does suck. Whatever you're going through, understand that you are loved. I know I don't get too serious. It's supposed to be happy stuff. I tried to do the Walker Howard stuff today. I was putting together a video and then I just kind of stopped. And I was like, oh my God, it sucks. But yeah, back on to LSU football. I get in trouble for mentioning BB, but right now, Arkansas playing neck after last night's game hurts the most. Yeah, last night's game kind of stunk. We'll get into that a little bit later. I promise you, Danny, I'll talk that because obviously I grew up in Arkansas. I've been to Bud Walton Arena like 3 times. That basketball arena is amazing. I wonder when the PMAC is going to be that awesome. I think one day they will renovate it, especially when Kim Mulkey wins us a freaking national championship. So yeah. What's up, Ed? Yeah, Urban Sobrero, I know that's something near and dear to you as well. Yeah, it sucks. It just really sucks. It really does. But yeah, just understand that you're loved. You really are. Now, thank you so much, Mick. Bit late to the party on this one, but love the energy from the staff. Matt House and Jamar Kane stole the show for me from the press conferences. Love that the whole staff said that the scheme will revolve around the players. Clowns. Clowns have left the building. That is kind of funny that you say that, right? Press conferences did become kind of clownish after a while. So what? Who cares, right? We move on. I did feel, especially after Edwards run, the firing was known, I did get a little too tied up into stuff that happened after the firing, but it still got me so mad. I still it still bothers me the Lane, and I love Ed Orgeron, right? He won us a national championship, but the Lane Kiffin quote still takes the cake for me. I'll never in a million years get over the Lane Kiffin quote. And I do feel a lot of the LSU players that played last year, I do feel that bothered them as well, right? As far as the scheme. And that's all there is to it. Now, as far as Matt House and Jamar Cain, that's obviously really good stuff. Obviously, Jamar Cain is more successful as a college coach, as the defensive line coach. He is regarded as one of the 10 best defensive line coaches in the country, and what he did at Oklahoma was really good. You know, he had Neville Gallimore, he had Nick Benito, so that's obviously really good. And Jamar Cain obviously has the cool Joe Burrow story. And there was something else on social media. Jamar Cain brought his dog to work, which is obviously a big plus for a big dog person, and makes me very happy. Now, Matt House stole the show for me. Matt House, you guys know how I feel about him. It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, as a defensive coordinator at the college level, he had 1 year of elite success, and the other years are just kind of meh. But it was his last year, and now he's coming back from the NFL. Hopefully it turns out to be a really good defensive coordinator hiring. But Max, you are not late to the party. The live stream doesn't get started until we got Max and King Robert in this thing. King Robert, Uncle Rob to me, is here with me in the ATL tonight. We'll watch your live stream now. High five twice. The shout out means everything. You're a legend. Subscribed and sharing. Coco Puff, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. King Robert's family watching in the ATL, home of Ludacris and Jermaine Dupri and Magic City and Augusta National. Wait, no, Augusta National is in Augusta. But Atlanta's home to a lot of good things, right? Party up in one Tweezy. Let's go. I can't wait to get back to the ATL, man. Got a lot of comedy friends that live there. My buddy Joe Byers, Joe Pettis, Mia Jackson, one of my favorite comics. She lives in New York City now, but she's one of the best comics on the planet. She's very underrated. Atlanta's got a great comedy city. Obviously, really excited. Good to have you here, Coco Puff. Everyone, welcome Coco Puff to the live stream. Jared, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. King Roberto, thank you for another super chat. I really appreciate it. Noel is shouting out his fellow New York City brother. Let's do it, baby. Let's go. So, Coco, you are new to the channel. You get to pick the next LSU topic. As always, Jared and Roberto, I know you guys like to sit back and enjoy the conversation. So there you go. Everyone, welcome Coco Puff. I'm going cuckoo for Coco Puff right now. Good to see you. Yeah, I know it sucks, Max. It's another one of my teammates. I lost another one of my teammates earlier this year. It sucks. Once again, if you play sports with people you grow up with, it's definitely harder because you have two different types of brotherhoods with these types of people. And it was very sad. It really was. But, life moves on. And he was also obviously not a fully happy person, but he always had a smile on his face. So you never know what people are going through. So yeah, it's obviously, really stinks. Now, as far as like current LSU stuff is concerned, I did find something very interesting. And because you guys are all Walker Howard diehards, this is something that I thought was really fascinating. So I reached out to a really important talent evaluator who really is worked in college personnel. Now he works in the media, and I talked to him for a little bit. And one thing that I keep hearing about Walker Howard is they're concerned about his frame. Now, this would be my retort to the frame thing. Obviously, the obvious retorts is, well, there's Kyler Murray, and there's Drew Brees, and there's Russell Wilson, and there's Fran Tarkenton, and all these other short quarterbacks, Doug Flutie. And so the list goes on and on. And obviously the quarterback that's going to go number one overall in next year's draft is Bryce Young. He's only 5'11", and he's the best quarterback in college football. So size doesn't fully matter. Make your jokes all you want. No, thank you so much. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. So that's the funny thing about it, right? It's, you hear all this mumbo jumbo about, hand size. That's a big thing today. So Kenny Pickett had size 8.5-inch hands. And Joe Burrow is obviously the famous quarterback who made a big joke about this at the combine a few years ago because he only had 9-inch hands. And everybody was saying, oh my goodness, Joe Burrow only has 9-inch hands. And as many of you know, Joe Burrow is also known by a nickname that kind of dispels the small hand myth. Now, I won't say that because we're a family-friendly show, but if you know Joe Burrow's nickname after the national championship game, you got the joke. So what's really sad about the whole hand size debate is size is just something that is oftentimes debated about quarterbacks in general. And the truth remains the same. Most quarterbacks are 6'3" and above. Now, when you think of all the famous quarterbacks, that is true despite era. So Dan Marino was 6'3". John Elway was 6'3". Josh Allen is 6'5". Patrick Mahomes is 6'3". Justin Herbert is 6'6". Joe Burrow is 6'4". Peyton Manning is 6'5". Tom Brady is 6'4". So most of the quarterbacks that you know are bigger when it comes to size. Now, Walker Howard is listed at 6'1". There are some people that have him just at 6 foot. He's not a huge person. What's very interesting is I decided to do a deep dive on this, right? And we're going to do a deeper deep dive on this data. What's very interesting is in the last 2 seasons, when it comes to the top 30 quarterbacks, so the top 50, top 15 in the class of 2022, and the top 15 in the class of 2021, there were only 5 of the 30 quarterbacks that were under 6'2" tall when they were going into LSU. Now, this is where it gets even funner. Okay. So every single one of you watching this, whether it be on the TV, whether it be on your mobile device, whether you're in the ATL or you're on the West Coast or wherever you may be watching. Okay. What's interesting is 2 of those 5 6'2" and under quarterbacks, or 6'1" and under quarterbacks, are on LSU's roster right now. Garrett Nussmeier was 6'1.5", and Walker Howard was 6'1" as well. Now, what's really interesting about that is there have been so many successful college top 15 quarterbacks over the past 5 years that were 6'1" and under. They actually had a really high hit rate. We talked about Bryce Young. We talked about bring up Tua. We bring up Tua's brother, Talia Tagovailoa, who's a really solid quarterback right now. What about Kyler Murray? So you had 2 different Heisman winners, 3 different Heisman finalists that were under 6'2", right? So what's interesting is Walker Howard got jumped all by quarterbacks who were 6'3" and above that have that prototypical Josh Allen freakish athletic ability, and they also have that size. So I think that also played a role because this year the NFL was mostly dominated by bigger quarterbacks. So I think that's part of it because you see what's happening in the NFL. Bigger quarterbacks are being drafted. So it's a very interesting thing. It really is. More worried about Walker's weight than his height. Yeah, and that's something else that's interesting. So while Tua was 6'1", he was he's sturdy, but he still broke down. Russell Wilson, he is 5'11". Drew Brees was insanely durable until his final few years. Those guys were thicker players. So can Walker Howard add the rate? All right. That's what my ex said about her new BF. Max going crazy. No, Roberto, you are the GOAT. So Walker will get back down on weight. He had a major leg injury and gained weight while not being able to do much. Sip G, what's good? One of the new, or not new dads, you just had a little one. Sip G, thank you. We always shout out the super dads of PHL. It's obviously the most important job of your life. So shout out to all the super dads that are watching this. That includes Jared, who just went to his daughter's baby shower. Jared's about to be a grandpa. Shout out to you. Joe Burrow will be the next Tom Brady. Drew Brees made the size thing irrelevant. True. So it started really, like it was really what Doug Flutie, and then it was Drew Brees was like the first, like, holy crap, this guy's like an all-time great shorter quarterback. And then Russell Wilson came along and he was the second. I don't think Kyler Murray gets selected number one overall if Russell Wilson and Drew Brees weren't before him, right? So Kyler owes a lot of gratitude to those two guys. Jalen Hurts is only 6'1" as well. That's a good point. Let's go, Mo Funky. Everything's going, man. Everything's going good, man. We got King Robert. We got everybody in this thing tonight. Let's go. Should say Walker will build muscle and get back to playing shape. Now, if you are new, once again, we just welcome Coco to the PHL group. The fam is pretty big. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video. Obviously, we got a bunch of new T-shirt club members. And what's really cool, I don't think he's in here right now, but I was supposed to send a shirt out today to my friend Kevin in San Antonio, but this is what happened today. Obviously, I had that thing that happened, but he also said that his daughter is a big fan of the Tiger Girls. So I was lucky when I was at LSU to have really good friends that were a part of the Tiger Girls. And shout out to JC Scott, Haley Cropog, and I don't know who this is right here. These are two of my really good friends at LSU. Haley and JC, they would always come by the radio studio and they would do like 2 or 3 radio slots, and they were always so entertaining. And JC actually ended up being one of the Cowboys cheerleaders, one of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. So Kevin, if you're watching this, Kevin told me his daughter's dream is to be a member of the Tiger Girls. I'm sending this to Kevin right here. So there you go. Good stuff. That's going out to you. Carol, good to see you. Good to see you. And Uncle Rob's sister is in here. Robert's bringing the whole family here. The Robert family reunion. What's up, Devin? Good to see ya. How much are the 4X and medium-sized shirts? My hubs and my son both want one now. So, Danny, I am out of 4X shirts. I sold them out. I've already sold them out. That's what's crazy. I do have other 3X shirts, and, I think they would fit. I do. I really do. The shirts are comfy, right? Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll take care of you, okay? We love you, Carol. We got to go get Jayden Wayne, the 5-star defensive lineman out of Washington. We have a lot of work to do because I don't want to get into what happened with them last year, but let's just say his recruiting visit from the Auburn game this past year should have been handled a little bit better. That's all I got to say about that. Devin is in the building. Oh, if you're new to the channel, you guys know Carver's is one of the sharpest tacks out there. The crazy thing is the NFL has always had short all-time great quarterbacks, Fran Tarkenton, Joe Theismann, and we're going all the way back. We're going all the way back to the Ice Bowl, Super Bowl I, talking about Bart Starr. And what's kind of funny is like all the Green Bay's quarterbacks weren't ever really that big. So Bart Starr and Brett Favre, I think, was 6'2", and Aaron Rodgers was 6'2". Now, they're bigger than Walker Howard, and obviously, their arm strength is really unmatched by pretty much everyone that ever existed. John Elway maybe, but still. Look, man, Walker Howard is great. Walker Howard has great arm strength. And I also found something very interesting about him today is, look, you can't get too carried away with high school film, but that guy was a leader, right? And the way he handled everything that was thrown his way is nothing short of incredible. And I want everyone to take what I'm about to take very professionally. And sometimes it's not taken professionally, but that's okay. If you go look at all the great quarterbacks that have ever existed in the NFL, they all went through serious adversity. Now, I'm not saying that The other quarterbacks have not dealt with adversity. I don't know too much about their personal lives or whatnot. I do know a good bit about all of them when it comes to their actual high school tape and their ability. I still like Cade Klubnik as the best quarterback in this class. 247 Composite agrees with me, and I have felt that way for quite some time. But I will say this, Walker Howard actually had real adversity with this team this year. His defense was garbage. Every other elite quarterback had good defenses. So he really had to carry a team, and he had to play with an injury. And on top of that, his personal life, as far as losing his mother a few years ago, really stinks. This guy has really been through it. And he just always kept getting better. He just kept grinding his way to the top. And he had this ridiculously high recruiting ranking before he ever even started a game. And he only went out and exceeded every expectation. So, I'm just a big believer in Walker Howard. I always have been. I know it's not some hot take that he's going to be a great quarterback at LSU, but he slid in the rankings because of the injury and because I believe his size. I do feel people like the other quarterbacks because their arm might be a little bit better and they might be a little bit more athletic and they're just bigger. So I just don't agree with that. I still believe Walker Howard. I would put him right now just behind Cade Klubnik. I would put Cade Klubnik number one. I would put Walker Howard number two. I do like Ty Simpson a lot, and obviously he is going to Alabama, but I don't let that affect my individual rankings. Yeah, Jack, it's a very interesting visitor weekend. I saw something that I believe Shay wrote. This is one of the smaller visitor weekends. Obviously, Trey Holly's coming this weekend, and that's going to be a big running back target for Frank Wilson going into this next year. But, on top of that, a lot of other five stars are going to be there. I believe Shelton Sampson's going to be there. I think Tackett Curtis is going somewhere else this weekend. So be it. Just on early evaluation, though, Jack, I do believe Shelton Sampson is the best player in the state of Louisiana. And he is a five-star wide receiver. So, it's really good is if for some reason LSU doesn't get him, I think that they will. The LSU is always going to have enough wide receivers to go around. But I do think Shelton Sampson is going to be the next great LSU wide receiver. Yeah, Carvis, it's kind of hard to not think Cade Klubnik's going to be elite. There are some skepticisms, right? I don't think his arm is special. Also, he did play on the absolute best team in the country. Westlake is just loaded. They're long, they're athletic, they're well coached. They've gone 32-0 the last 2 years. So he does have the best supporting cast out of any of the quarterbacks, but you can just see that he is special. He really is dual threat. He's definitely, to me, the fastest out of all the elite quarterbacks this year, the top 10 guys. And he's just special. He really, really is special. So we'll see. Tommy's here. Oh, so Shelton's got a track meet this Saturday. Yeah, I forgot the whole visitor list. But yeah, I do know, though, that the list is smaller. So it's interesting. It's a different approach. Normally, there's more people going to these junior days early on in the process, but I also don't think it's the be-all, end-all. Flutie Flakes had baseball on phone and basketball on tablet. Carol is Coco's mom. That's good. We got the whole Atlanta family watching. I like that. I need to get back out to Atlanta. What are we going to do next time, Carol? We're in Atlanta. I'm committed to Bama. If he committed to Bama, would have been a 5-star top 25. I do believe that to be true, right? I do think it's easier to put quarterbacks as 5 stars if they go to Alabama, just because you're getting the best coach of all time. And, you're going to get a great offensive line as well. So that's the thing. Something else that I really like about Walker Howard is even if LSU doesn't have, a steel curtain offensive line, steel curtain was a defensive line, but still you get the point. Walker Howard never played behind a great offensive line. He didn't. Ahmad, what's good, man? So Ahmad, Josh says someone super chat the GOAT for me, my money tied up. That's okay, Josh. Yo. Ahmad is in the hizzy, baby. Ahmad, I want you right now. I gotta go to the weak camera. The other camera died. I'm not in HD anymore. So hopefully all the new viewers are like, oh my God, he looks even better without the HD camera. That is true. I kind of don't like the HD camera. I think the HD camera does look better, but I am not a beautiful person. Now, if I look like Michael B. Jordan or George Clooney, the HD camera would be a better thing for my growth. But I do not look like Ryan Reynolds, but still. A titanium fence. But it's true, Walker Howard didn't play behind great offensive lines. What's up, Mark? I was the one that bullied Mark into actually showing his beautiful face. There you go, Tommy. Thank you, man. Tom T, welcome. Ooh. Yeah, I think with the revisionist history, you give Tyrann Mathieu that Heisman trophy. He missed the Auburn game that year, but he was the best player in college football that year, right? Carter, you look like I just took my glasses off. Reed, what's good, man? Uh-oh. Paris is in the house. Jayden Daniels. You want to talk some Jayden Daniels? I want to talk some Jayden Daniels tonight? Are we getting to that point of the chat that we're getting back in a quarterback transfer portal speculation? Of course, Reed jumps in here with some fire. What's good, Reed? Good to see you, man. Reed changed his Avi. I'm going to bully Reed like I bullied Mark into putting his beautiful face on the camera. Trey Holly is going to be better than any running back that came out of Louisiana this past year. Very interesting. So, if you want a more deeper, you're so smart. If you want a deeper dive into Trey Holly, we actually had a Trey Holly expert, our good friend Sean Fox, who was on a few weeks ago. He actually calls Trey Holly's games on the radio. He's called him a few times, and he thinks Trey Holly is super special. Look, there's a lot to like about Trey Holly. A lot like Walker Howard, he's had to carry his team, right? Union, formerly the Farmerville Farmers, obviously a really talented player. Now, I'll tell you this, a lot of the deep dive prognosticators don't like Trey Holly, right? He's not the biggest guy. Obviously, one of the biggest predictors of future running back success, more so at the NFL level than at the college level, is your weight. And Trey Holly is on the smaller side. He's about 180. And normally you want that running back to be about 200 pounds. And normally you do want their success to go up against better competition. But the good thing is, Trey Holly may or may not have to be a year one guy, and he might be able to be a year two guy. And that might be a good thing considering he's had to have so many carries up to this point in his career. Let's go. Aaron here with Jacob Phillips. Good to see you. Reed. Oh, we get to see Reed's face soon. I'm looking forward to it, man. Yeah, Chris, look, here's what I'll say about Jayden Daniels, right? Once again, the transfer portal is wide open. He's a really good quarterback. I doubt he goes somewhere where he thinks he's not going to be the guy, right? He's so deep into his NFL or his college career. With Miles Brennan right now, or even Walker Howard and Garrett Nussmeier. So it was very interesting. I do think Jayden Daniels can be a good college quarterback. In fact, he has shown flashes of brilliance. It's just been so much inconsistency mixed in there. Now, I've shared before that I don't think Herman Edwards is the absolute best college coach. I think the NFL is better suited for him. Obviously, with all the recruiting violations that have come Arizona State's way since he's been the head coach. Some of his fourth down decision making can really hold back a quarterback, and just overall game flow and just game planning. It's not Herm's strong suit when it comes to the college game. And, Arizona State has just been a mess. And what's interesting is the Pac 12 has been wide open. There hasn't been this unbelievable force holding back any team in the Pac 12 over the past couple of years. There's been no USC. UCLA turned out to be a fraud last year. Oregon's been good, but not great. It's very interesting. And Jayden Daniels is very skinny, right? Now, what's interesting, I know Ahmad is in here. My favorite quarterback in the class of 2023, legit, his body is built like Kevin Durant, but I think he's super special, and I hope he picks LSU. I know we've offered him that Nico kid. We need a quarterback, but a development 3-star. That would be very nice to add into the room. About as skinny of a quarterback as you're going to see. Let's see. I have more faith in being 10-1 than I do to beat Bama on their revenge tour after losing the Natty while we are rebuilding. True. Look, Bama's going to be tough to beat because if you were to draft an offense, your first pick would be Bryce Young. If you were to draft the defense this year, your first pick would be Will Anderson. So they got the two best players. What's going to be interesting, though, is what their offensive line is going to look like next year without Evan Neal being there, right? Evan Neal's probably going to be the number one overall pick, just looking at mock drafts. And obviously, the photo that's been blown up all over Twitter was how shredded that guy is for being 337 pounds. I don't know if you saw this photo or not, but he's a freak of nature. Their offensive line wasn't good with him last year. I know they're going to, hopefully one of those Brockermeyer kids steps up and hopefully JC Latham takes another step for them. But, I don't know what their offensive line is going to look like next year. Now, this is very interesting. Dante Moore, the 5-star out of Michigan. LSU does have a good shot here. Just based on reading Go 247 and just reading the tea leaves on Twitter. Now, Ahmad's in here. I know he is a Dante Moore stan. He thinks Dante Moore is better than Arch, better than Walker, better than Malachi Nelson, and that would be obviously a really nice get. Roger Dodger is a believer in Jayden Daniels. Aaron is shouting out at everybody. I like it. Danny, Skipper, Carvis, Reed, Paris, Max, Jack, Kyle, Zach, Chris, what's up? And he said Mo Funky as well. Kyle Kidd looks good. Ahmad, tell me where we can get the Dante Moore fan club shirts. That's all I want to know. Hope Ahmad's still in here. Just tell me about Dante Moore last summer. He's like, Carter, there's this kid up in Michigan. He could be our next Burrow. I'm like, what? Really? Haven't really evaluated him all that much after just a quick look. He does look pretty good. So we'll see. But yes, obviously we are an open book tonight. The poll question, let's check the poll question. 2012 Alabama is the loss that hurt you the most during the regular season. I am a little shocked. And Cumby, let me know what you think about this. I'm a little shocked that 2007 Arkansas is not up there because that game cost us the national championship had it not been for LaShawn McCoy and all the other chaos that happened that weekend. And of course, who can forget Jonathan Zenon, right? So there you go. Mo Funky, it's all good, man. Mo Funky joined the t-shirt club and he said, look, I don't want to go to any more lives anymore. I've already got my shirt. I'm done with Carter. It's perfectly fine. Also, I got a bunch of PHL stickers over here. If you want to join the sticker club and you don't want to join the shirt club, you can see with the bottom scroll right here. If you want to join the Booger Band Club, I got to order more Booger Bands. I still have some. We're about sold out on them. Once again, you can see down below, 1 for 15, 2 for 20, 3 for 25. Obviously, if you get the 3 for 25 option, I ship a bunch of cards to you. Wait, hold on. I'm bringing the treats to the meetup. My wife owns a bakery. Any suggestions? FYI, she makes bomb red velvet, Cat Williams voice, Hennessy cupcakes. Now, I know that wasn't a good Cat Williams. But the way Cat Williams says Hennessy should be the only time people should ever say the word Hennessy, right? Because Cat Williams has a famous joke about Hennessy and kombucha. It is some of the best stand-up comedy that has ever happened. Red velvet Hennessy cupcakes. Wow, that would take me next level. Danny wants you to talk basketball. She does super chat all the time. We all love us some Danny. Refs, fake charge calls, terrible fouls at crucial time, poor shooting, etc., etc. So, because Danny super chatted, I will talk some LSU basketball. I did watch that game from start to finish. I rarely do. But obviously, whenever there's a golden boot on the line, I like to watch a game from start to finish. So there you go. LSU Arkansas is my favorite rivalry because I grew up in Arkansas and all that good stuff. So I guess we got to have red velvet Hennessy cupcakes at this thing. So look, the bottom line is this, right? Will Wade's team did Will Wade things yesterday. A lot of undisciplined things, like the foul there at the end that should have been a travel on JD Note. Should have been a travel, but Wilkerson should not have fouled him in that spot. We had him trapped. Their best player was trapped. So there's no need to stick your hand in there anyway. Obviously there was just too many easy baskets. I hate that. That's always a thing with the Will Wade team. Just too many breakaway layups. But still, Arkansas had heavy legs. They play a very tight rotation, and that was a good spot for LSU to get a very big win that would have knocked them up a seed, right? Arkansas has kind of become the toughest place to play in the SEC. Bud Walton is brutal to play at. It's brutal. I've been to many a games there. It's tough. I think I've been to 3 or 4. I talked about this earlier. I think 3 or 4. Still, it gets loud. It gets raucous, even when they're not good. And that's going to influence the referees. Now, Arkansas's second best player, Jaylen Williams, he does take a lot of charges, and he always gets the call. It wasn't just this game. It happened versus Tennessee as well, apparently. It was so much BS. And look, I understand this is college football. I will leave you guys with this. College basketball has become borderline unwatchable with the refereeing, okay? And it's not just college basketball. It's high school basketball. It's even little girls basketball, little boys basketball with the referees. I went to my girlfriend's niece's game, and they were calling everything, and they were like 8-year-olds. Let them play and get rid of block charge. Get rid of it. Just do away with it. You should not reward a defender for sliding over and getting underneath a guy and landing. It's stupid. Number one is it's not safe for either player. Most notably, it's not safe for the person actually taking the charge because it does lead to back problems down the road. Just saying, I know a few people in the sports medicine field. It can destroy your back when you begin to take charges. For those that watched the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, many of you know Scottie Pippen took a lot of charges and his back would get very, very stiff, probably knocked a few years off his career. So the block charges need to get out of college basketball. It's ruining the sport. I hate it. I know everyone says, well, it's good defense and it's good fundamental and it's good hustle. I don't give a flip. Get rid of it. It's dangerous. It's stupid. It ruins the flow. It's too subjective. And part of the reason why referees don't want to call a block charge is when you call a charge, you just have to go like this. If you call a block, you got a pelvic thrust in the air in front of 60,000 people. And what old person wants to do a Triple H, you know what it, in the middle of everyone? No, Trey, someone super chatted about basketball, so I talked about it. But we're back to football because Trey super chatted. There you go. Talk about football, Trey. You get to pick the next topic. We have not touched on everything. We talked about Walker Howard for a good little bit. Talked a little bit about Brian Kelly a little bit earlier. Obviously, the topic, the topic right now, the poll question topic. Which regular season loss hurt you the most? So, what's up, Bruce? Good to see you, man. I do agree with this. Last thing on this. Will Wade does have some coaching flaws. They just exist. They just do. It's not his strength, right? But here's the thing: not everybody's Lute Olson. Not everybody is, Ed Cooley. Whichever basketball master strategist you want to talk about, it's not their strong suit. Yeah, Trey, you get to pick the next topic. What's up, Bruce? Good to see ya. Myles Brennan and Brian Kelly, what's that about? Oh, it's in the thing. I was just going to talk about both of them. I talked a lot about Walker Howard, and I'll talk a little bit about Myles Brennan and Brian Kelly. It does look as if Myles Brennan's going to be the guy. Now, what's very interesting is most of Brian Kelly's quarterbacks have not been elite dual threat guys. Now, he did have Everett Golson and Malik Zaire that were dual threat guys, but Deshaun Kaiser was a decent athlete and Ian Book was a decent athlete. They could run some. But for the most part, he had pocket guys. Okay. And once again, Kaiser and Book could run some. They aren't like Jacob Eason or Myles Brennan, but for the most part, pocket guys. So, Brian Kelly is very risk averse when it comes to his offense. And look, Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock, they don't run the most modern offensive concepts. So you're not going to look at their offense and say, okay, that's clearly from the Mike Leach coaching tree, or that's clearly from, Lincoln Riley's playbook or whatever. That looks like Joe Brady. It's not going to look like that. So for me, I do think Myles Brennan is a good fit for what Brian Kelly wants to do. Now, what's very fascinating, Trey, as far as Myles Brennan and Brian Kelly, is when you factor in Mike Denbrock, he did do a lot of RPO running with Desmond Ridder last year. Now, Desmond Ridder isn't an elite athlete, but he is a really, really good runner and a really effective runner, and Denbrock used that RPO game with real effectiveness. And I think part of the thing that Myles Brennan struggled with in his 3 starts was that because he couldn't run, us running out of shotgun made our running game to be very difficult. And, Myles Brennan this next year, if we're going to run out of shotgun again, is going to have to, pull it a few times and at least keep those defensive ends honest. So it should be very interesting. As far as some other things about Brian Kelly, I got into a debate about this with my friend Austin on Twitter about Brian Kelly's quarterback development. He has not ever had a first-round quarterback draft pick. Now, my counter to that would be this. Nick Saban didn't have one until 2019, right? There's a lot of good coaches who have never had a first-round quarterback draft pick. And there are so few quarterbacks that actually go in the first round. And quarterback success, as far as next level capability, is mostly random, right? As far as who comes from where. Like, for instance, there's not a single soul who saw Josh Allen in high school and said that guy is going to be a top 10 overall pick. So, it's a lot of guesswork as well over who the first round quarterbacks are going to be. Now, it is slightly a concern that, yes, Brian Kelly's never had a first round quarterback, but he has had some second round guys and he has had some guys get drafted. And look, you could also argue the opposite. Deshaun Kaiser and Ian Book were so bad in the NFL that Brian Kelly won a lot with them despite of them. And look, Deshaun Kaiser led offense averaged that magical number that I talk about a lot, which is 7 yards per play. And that is really good. And Mike Denbrock was the one who called those plays for that 2015 Notre Dame defense. Cincinnati's yard per play numbers got better as time went on. So, yeah, that's all there is to it. Blue Betty, what's up, man? Welcome to the channel. We got a mixing board right here. We're lighting some candles. I see. That's good, man. I like it, man. What's up, Mike? What's up, Reed? Talking to Madam Miller. Tony Pike. Who remembers Tony Pike? You know what's funny? Tony Pike actually called Cincinnati football for the past couple of years. So he knows Mike Denbrock's offense pretty well. I should reach out to Tony Pike, see if he wants to come on this channel. Blue Fetty, what kind of candles are we lighting back here, man? See, he's getting some pumpkin spice candles lit up. Miles got to get rid of the belly, get in shape. No, Paris, the point of the belly is to add extra protection on that famous rib injury that he had, right? You didn't know that, huh, Paris? When you got that extra flubber, like I do right now, well, I've had it. It gives you a little extra boom when that defensive end hits you. In fact, the defensive end will bounce off of you. Oh, yes. 2012 Florida, that one hurt, that 14-6 game. The Clemson loss sucked. It sucked. The Bartles and James coolers. No, tonight I'm drinking this Bud Light seltzer hard soda. And I had these they were handing these out at Shaq's party a few weeks ago in LA. And I drank one. I was like, these aren't that bad. They really aren't that bad. Mark gained weight under Moffitt. New conditioning coach. Also, LSU's got all these new guys, right? Coach Flint, Jacob Flint, the new strength and conditioning coach. Matt Frakes, the new sports science guy there, nutrition guy. Very interesting. I'd like for Miles to stay healthy and see if Carter's post-third-year starter and dominance in high school hypothesis holds. Now, that is a strong PHL deep dive enthusiast right there. That is Trey, a member of the Booger Band Club. Only the diehards remember that video, right? So I did this video when TJ Finley left, and it still holds true. There has never been a successful LSU starting quarterback that has become the full-time starter before year 3 of their development. Every single one that's gotten to become the full-time starter year 3 on has turned out to be successful in the championship era. Every quarterback that didn't get to start in year 3 of the development and moved on and they turned out to not be good. So Brandon Harris, obviously Jared Lee, Jordan Jefferson, Max Johnson now. So it's 100% correlation. Whereas every quarterback that became the full-time, unquestioned starter from year 3 on, that is obviously Joe Burrow, that is Matt Flynn, that is Zach Mettenberger, that is Danny Etling, that is Jamarcus Russell, who started some in year 2, but he was the unquestioned guy in year 3, turned out to be successful. And there is some correlation with you dominating in high school to your success from that point on as well, right? So Joe Burrow was dominant in high school, and he was a year 3 and a head starter. Miles Brennan, the same thing. He was dominant in high school. Now, once again, he played in Mississippi, but still. BK evolved from his early years to now. Max, thank you for the super chat again. Just look at some of the spread schemes they ran last year with Jack Cohn. Very different from what he ran with Tommy Rees was a quarterback. That's true. I see really... A little stretch here. It is very different. And, Max, it was ironic because Tommy Rees was his play caller. And that's who he wanted to be his offensive coordinator at LSU. And obviously Tommy Rees decided to stay at Notre Dame. It would have been very interesting what Rees would have done. I think I prefer Denbrock over Rees, and you guys know I'm not just saying that. I really would prefer Denbrock over Tommy Rees. I still am a little skeptical about the Tommy Rees offense. But still, yes, they did look more modern these past couple of years. But I go back to this, right? There's if you take USC and Florida State out, right? They have been top 20 recruiters, but they haven't been really good teams. If you take those teams out, Brian Kelly has only averaged 6 yards per play twice in 15 games versus the best recruiters on his schedule. And one of those games was against LSU in the bowl game a few years ago. And one of those games was against a Clemson team that, during the Rona, they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. They played that game in South Bend. And then when they rematched them, they were dominated. So, part of the big hump for Brian Kelly is performing better in these big games, and he's going to have better players at LSU. But still, you would have liked to have seen him to be a little bit more competitive, and I think he would probably agree with that as well in some of these games. But that's going to be the big thing. Can he find a way schematically to beat the Sabans and the Kirby Smarts on the schedule? And you're going to have to beat either one of those guys to win a national championship. So we'll see. Now, as far as what do I think his offense is going to look like next year, I think a lot of it's going to come down to how he actually evaluates the tight ends during the spring. But I do think we'll see a lot of 11 next year. I know they like to run 12 and run the football, but we'll see. Appreciate it, Mike, as always. Is Max Johnson going to be starting for Jimbo squad? I would say no. I still think Haynes King is that guy. I also think Connor Weidman's a good quarterback coming in. He, a lot like Walker Howard, had to carry his team. Now his defense was a little bit better, but still, I like Connor Weidman. At first I didn't, but we'll see. Now, I do want to bring this up, okay, from Tommy. How many of you would be interested in a PHO hoodie? I only have one. I only printed one of them. I wanted to see what you guys thought of the PHO hoodie. Um, it's Koza. I really do like it. So let me know what you guys think. If you would like some PHO hoodies, I'll happily print and sell a few more of those. And they are Koz. They did keep me warm. You guys saw how cold I was last Saturday in Tiger Stadium. Max will end up transferring to SMU. Very interesting landing spot. That'd be a good spot for him. Run the who's the coach there? Sonny Cumbie's the coach there now. Jared says I'll get one in November. Ah, let's see. I could talk basketball. I don't know anything about LSU baseball. I don't. I wish I did. I wish I did. I know Trey Morgan, Blake Money. I think those are the only two players I can name, like just off the top of my head. But yeah, it's no disrespect. I'm obviously really excited. I hope Jay Johnson wins a lot. I just don't know anything. Sonny Cumbie, yeah, that's it. Yeah, can we see them? Yeah, I'll grab it for you real quick. Oh man. Here you go, right here. Boom, got the logo right there. And it's got boom right there on the back of it. Can't beat it. And the shirts are like that too. So if you want to get a shirt, Zachary, let me know. Only size I'm out of, I think I'm out. I might be out of medium as well. I might be. Tommy and Tracy. Do you think Brian Kelly used some of Sloan spread concepts he used for La Tech? I do. We still don't know what Joe Sloan's full role is going to be, but we'll see. Okay, Rhett Lashley is SMU's coach. Sonny Cumbie is at LA Tech. Okay, I got them confused because of the colors. Oh, you'll get one in the fall? I like that. Reed shirts are 40. I don't know what the hoodies would be. My printer just made one and sent it to me. Leonard, it's been a while. I thought BK Notre Dame was pretty competitive against Georgia in both games. Both losses were less than 7 points. 2017 1, 2019 6. Yeah, it's true. And the issue, though, was offensively, they just couldn't get anything really going in either one of the games. Once again, Georgia's defense is really good, though. So the offensively, they were better versus Georgia than they have been versus Alabama and Clemson for the most part, outside of that one Clemson game. But still, no, you are right about that, Leonard. Those games were very competitive. No news about George Takis at this point, which I do think is actually good news for LSU. I think right now, once again, I have no inside information on this. I have been prodding to try and figure this out, though. I think they're trying to figure out their roster number size going into next year. If they are just going to be limited to the 81 roster. Joseph Big Daddy, what's good, man? Good to see you, brother. Doesn't Liberty need a QB now? It's true. Did y'all see that video of Malik Willis today, giving his combine clothes to the to the man sitting on the side of the street. That was really good. That was really good stuff. He wasn't trying to get clicks or anything like that. It was someone who was just filming him do it. I view Myles as Brennan the bridge. He will be good enough to give the new scheme and OL time to develop and will be ready when Walker starts the following year. Danny is a Walker Howard 2023 believer. I wonder what Nuss thinks about that. So, yeah. I don't know where you're hearing that from, Zachary. He's not transferring. Old news. There'd be no reason for him to transfer now, right? He's going to be the guy next year. Coach K's last game in Cameron Indoor Stadium. So, I've shared this before. I've worked with Coach K before. Obviously, really nice guy. I have a lot of respect for him. And yeah, it's going to be emotional. I mean, one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, if not the greatest. What's very interesting, though, a little sports trivia right here, and I promise we'll get back into the LSU topic in just a second. So, in the last 17 years, I want you right now in the comment section to guess how many Final Fours Coach K has made in the last 17 years. Okay? Or is it 18 years? Last 18 years. How many Final Fours has Coach K made in the last 18 years? Just give it your best guess in the comment section. At least we don't have to pay $5,000. 4XL hoodie. I'll make sure when we get them printed. Good to see you, RSX. It's number one coach of the year. Okay, Jared says 6. Mick says 13. Zachary says 11. Paris says 5. Aaron says 12. Okay, in the last 18 years. Okay. I'll let you guys get a few more guesses in. We'll get back into LSU football in just a second. Yeah, for some reason, the best coaches don't win Coach of the Year. I remember Jerry Sloan never won Coach of the Year, and I was like, really? Jerry freaking Sloan? Jerry Sloan? Let's see. Jayden says 11. How many Final Fours has Coach K made in the past 18 years? Aaron says 12. Jayden says 11. Kyle is actually right. I don't know if he cheated. He's only been to 2. Now, the thing about it is he's won both of those visits, right? He won the Kyle Singler, Nolan Smith, John Shire championship. That was the year that I worked with him. And he also won the year when he had Tyus Jones and who was Jaleel Okafor was his name. Yeah, he's only been to 2 in the last 18 years. So, 10, 11, 11, 4, 12, 11. So, yeah, it's funny, right? It goes to show you how hard it is to make the Final Four. We tend to think, like I hate it when I read, this coach hadn't made the Final Four in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. And I'm like, you know how random and how difficult it is to make a run to the Final Four, right? South Carolina made it to the Final Four a few years ago. So it is true the Blue Bloods are the ones that normally make the Final Fours, but only 4 teams make the Final Four. So it's still really freaking hard, right? Dude, they had freaking Zion Williamson in his freaking fully athletic, fully locked in Zion Williamson, and they didn't make it. So that's kind of funny. Well, Paris, here's another trivia question. Who knocked JJ Redick out of his last Final Four or his last NCAA tournament? Also, if you're a Pelicans fan, who remembers CJ McCollum and Lehigh knocking Coach K out? CJ McCollum, right? CJ McCollum as a 15 seed knocked out Coach K. You know, you never know. Y'all know CJ McCollum? He was the best player on the floor. CP3. I remember CP3. I think the correct answer to this question, who knocked JJ Redick out of his last Final Four, was LSU, right? Remember Garrett Temple and that team beat him on our road to the Final Four? So, Coach K is one of the best coaches of all time. It's really hard to make it to the Final Four. That's all I'm saying, right? That's why Jay Wright is such a good coach, man. This guy's won 2 national championships at Villanova. Right? Villanova's a good program. Yeah, they beat Georgetown back in the 80s. That was a big deal. But still, it's hard. It's really freaking hard to do it. You remember that 06 LSU team, right? One of those players is currently on the LSU staff. One of them currently plays for the Pelicans. It's good stuff. Who knows that Storm Warren is still playing in Europe? Who remembers Storm Warren? Now, he wasn't on that team, but Storm Warren was a great player. Tyrus Thomas, Big Baby Davis, who is currently trying his hand at stand-up comedy. Good luck to you, Big Baby. Mine hasn't been the same since he floated his shoe. Let me know if this is your first time here. T Trabona 8. Jared Mitchell, kind of close. Tazzer Mitchell. Garrett Temple put JJ Redick in a phone booth. Yeah, Paris. That was such a fun game. I was in high school for that. It was so great. And what was that Final Four, LSU? It was UCLA, Marquette, and who else? Who else was in the Final Four at the LSU? I think the actual national champion, which was, I don't remember. I do remember when LSU, that Bo Spencer team, played North Carolina, and they interviewed Bo Spencer before the game, and he was like, hell, I dream for playing for North Carolina. I'm excited as heck. And they beat us pretty bad. Daryl Mitchell. That's right. That's right. Who can forget Daryl Mitchell? He was the one that hit that big 3. Yeah, he had a huge 3. I did not know this. Tyrus Thompson is Lil Boosie's best friend. Jeremiah wants to talk Saints draft. So yeah, we're already an hour 14 into it. Let's go ahead and finish off the poll question here. Your hardest loss. And I'll give you what my answer would be. Alabama won this poll by a wide margin. I have no idea how Arkansas did not win this poll, right? Because that game actually cost us a national championship. Now, what I'll say is the Texas A&M game was a little bit more painful because that game we actually should have won. They really got bailed out by the review when Kellen Mond's knee was down in regulation. Devin White hits him. Grant Delpit has the game-winning interception, and it was reviewed and said that Kellen Mond's knee was down, and they ended up scoring and going into overtime. Wasn't Aranda's finest moment, that overtime, but still. Really, that Arkansas loss, I took it painfully. Like, I was in the stadium. That might have added to it. I was in the stadium for 2012 as well. That one sucked. The Arkansas one was particularly painful, I guess, because I was a freshman. I just, I went to high school in Arkansas, and I get to LSU, and then all that crap happens. Man, that Arkansas game just destroyed me because that cost us a national championship, right? And we were heavy favorites that game. So, man, I got to go with Arkansas just because of the national championship factor. And, we miraculously, of course, was able to make it. What did you guys say? I'm interested in the comment section. What did you guys vote for in the poll? Boom, boom, boom. Yes, Reed, the knee was down. I agree. It was a good overturn. I'm just saying they got bailed out with that, right? Like, in theory, he threw an interception, right? Like, he wasn't intending for his knee to be down, right? At least Arkansas went out there and won the game. At least Alabama went out there and won the game. They didn't have some miraculously lucky call that helped them win that game. Trey said 2012. Bama. Zachary said A&M. That PI on Greedy, too. That was the worst. Paris, I totally forgot about that. Oh, my God. That was worse than Miami, Ohio State. I'm kidding. That was a national championship. But still, you get my point. Danny didn't vote on the poll. Really, Danny? Tracy voted for Arkansas. There you go, Tracy. You're with me. But Pegasus, what would Joe Burrow say about this, right? Joe Burrow had 9-inch hands. He didn't have big hands. But I do agree, overall, a majority of the quarterbacks have bigger hands. And he does use gloves. I'm not a Kenny Pickett guy. I see like Teddy Bridgewater mixed with Taylor Heineke all over. He can go out there and get you 6, 7, 8 wins. I just don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback, right? The way I would draft and rate the quarterbacks right now, I would put Sam Howell number 1, but he's not the absolute most athletic guy, and he is a little undersized, right? If I'm just going for, the home run hit of the class, I guess I would go Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder. There's a piece of me that wants to talk myself into Matty Corral. Man, I just think Lane schemed everything open for him. I really do. And I'm not, and obviously Matt made a lot of plays, and he does give you some dual threat. But I'm kind of out on Corral. I just am. Now, who else is in this class? That's how I view it. Once again, I'm not a master quarterback evaluator when it comes to the NFL draft. I thought Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan would both be bust. I was obviously wrong about that. So yeah, Carson Strong. Interesting. As far as the Saints drafting any of them, I don't know. I know Trey, but you're not a quarterback, so you don't have to worry about it. I have to miss A&M again this year. The game is on my anniversary. Why don't you have the anniversary at the game? Oh, it's in College Station. Stay where you are. Kidding. College Station was a fine city. Fine. I actually enjoyed the Midnight Yell. I went to the Midnight Yell. I thought it was fine. Oh, God, Aaron, please. Aaron always talks about his high school glory days at QB. Look at Aaron. He's got the high socks. He's got a newspaper photo of his avatar. Why don't you put your rival's profile up there, Aaron? Huh? Or your 247 profile? Chris 606. I love it with Chris 607 in the photo. Once again, I make this dad joke all the time. Chris 606 is the 606th Chris in a long line of Chris's in his family. So his son's name is Chris 607 for everyone new to the channel. That is Chris 607 in the photo. Olave ran a 2.26, a 2.26 in the 40. Then he shouldn't be playing football. Is he the Flash? Ran a 2.26. He ran a 4.26. Oh. .426. I'm looking at it now. I think all 40s look the same. I think if there wasn't the time at the bottom of the screen, you wouldn't be able to tell which 40s were faster. Good for him, though. Chris Olave. What do y'all think I'm about to say about Chris Olave? What is something that Chris Olave and Justin Jefferson have in common despite their jersey number? Trey said, unless I was, What does Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, both Ohio State wide receivers, have in common? I will spit it out my drink. Better watch out, man. We're taking over, baby. Light Skin Nation. Chris Olave, Justin Jefferson, Steph Curry, Meghan Markle, Patrick Mahomes. Better watch out. We're taking over, baby. Jared said, brothers that are better. It's no, Chris Olave was only a 3-star recruit. It's kind of funny, like how many 3-star recruits go to these big schools and turn out to be like beasts. Ohio State's had like a lot of 3-star recruits turn out to be like really good football players, right? LSU as well. Like they've had so many like all-time greats that were 3-star recruits. Boom. Mm-mm. So something interesting. I wanted to share with you this. This is what Brian Kelly's dance video will do. College football programs generating the most interactions on official team social accounts in February 2022. So I'm just kidding. The Brian Kelly dance videos weren't on LSU's official social media account, but still they had 2 million interactions in the month of February. Ohio State was the second most with 994,000. So it goes to show you LSU still the kings of social media. I saw this, Jack, and this is something that I try to strive for on this channel, okay? This is something I don't like about the NBA, right? Along with a lot of things. So I grew up, the NBA was my favorite thing. I do get a little tired, and this is existent in the NFL, college football, and every sport. There's so, and Trey, we'll see you, man. Thank you for the super chat as always. I think they go pinky to thumb, like from like here to here. So, Jack, this is something that just drives me nuts, right? The media can get very lazy with narratives, right? So I saw Kendrick Perkins fall for this. I saw another national media member, Logan Murdoch, fall for this. I saw Ashley Nicole Moss of Sports Illustrated fall for this. I see it all the time. And this is one of those things you guys hear me say all the time. I hate it when people group together the national media. And there are some national media members out there that do stand for the Pelicans. But there's all these national media members that for some reason just love to defecate all over the Pelicans and the city of New Orleans being a basketball city when we are the #1 rated market for national NBA broadcasts. But it's a football town. And I kept hearing, well, Carter, it's only because Bally Sports doesn't have good reach in New Orleans and it's still bull crap. I don't care what Bally does fine. Should they be better? Yes. But the bottom line still is New Orleans people still freaking watch basketball. And just because, Chris Paul didn't end ugly, but it ended. And Anthony Davis ended ugly, and obviously Zion, it's ugly. Everyone thinks New Orleans doesn't know how to handle injuries, and New Orleans doesn't know how to handle. It drives me nuts because I'm a Pelicans fan, right? And I get tired of hearing these lazy takes that New Orleans isn't a good basketball city when it's simply not true. Should the attendance be better? Yes, but this is not freaking Boston. This is not the Lakers. This isn't the Knicks. We're not going to sell out every game because we're just not them. Those are international brands, okay? But how many international brands are there in the NBA? Really, those teams and the Bulls. That's it. Those are the only two teams that have maybe the Heat, maybe a few other teams. That's it. Should the NBA go back to Seattle? Yes, Seattle deserves that basketball. Seattle is a basketball city. You ask anyone from Seattle, it's an NBA city, and it's the only professional sports team that they don't have. The Sonics should be back in Seattle. Absolutely. But the truth remains the same, right? And I understand we're just a small pocket here in Louisiana. And yes, basketball is far from being the number one sport in the state. It's not as if though no one doesn't support the freaking Pelicans. There's plenty of people that do. And this poll today showed it. So for those that didn't see it, when it comes to national broadcasts, the NFL and the NBA, the New Orleans always draws number one, if not in the top five. We freaking love sports in Louisiana. If you're from Louisiana, you more than likely love sports. And, a lot of people think, well, New Orleans is just party city and we're so distracted and, it's just football. It's not. We freaking love the NBA there too. Oh, I know. Because his argument has no weight. It has no weight. Okay. Does Zion Williamson want to play somewhere else? Probably. Well, within his right to do so. That doesn't make New Orleans some horrible basketball city, especially when the owner of the team says she is not going to sell. It's a useless argument. It doesn't make sense. And I know I don't cover the NBA every single day, and I know I am far from an NBA business expert. And the Pelicans aren't a top 15 brand in the NBA, but I'm going to tell you this. I see a lot of empty seats at Minnesota games, and they have some of the best young talent in the freaking NBA. You never hear anyone talk about that. I'm sick of it. I'm so freaking sick of it. Okay, I'm not going to do a LeBron MJ thing. If you super chat, I'll do a LeBron MJ thing. Let's not do LeBron MJ stuff. Let's not do that tonight, please. It's not. I know we're in the dead heat of the off season. We're still weeks away from spring football. I am not starved for topics to go down to an MJ LeBron debate. Huh? Let's go to Aaron. How do you think our 2023 class will fare? Okay. Look, I think for me, I think it'll be good. Now, I will say this, Aaron. I'm a little early on my evals for the class of 2023. Do I think Arch is a little overrated? Maybe. Once again, it's still so early to evaluate and say that kid is for sure a beast. I can say though that Shelton Sampson is really freaking good. I really do see special out of him. Plays a little like a Devonta Smith. I do think he's a really, really special talent. I do. Now, as far as the other kids in the class, Tackett Curtis is very interesting to me. Wherever he goes, I still don't know what his best position is, but obviously he's a really athletic bone crusher. The dude just destroys people. Trey Holly obviously is a running back that is loved on this channel. And then, of course, you have the Osbury kid out of U High. It's going to be interesting to see what his brother decides to do after all the shenanigans that have happened at Auburn. Now, as far as all the other Louisiana guys, LSU does have one guy committed in Amarion Miller, a really good wide receiver from North Louisiana. you know, once again, it's too early. I haven't really looked too deep into his tape just yet, but it looks to be pretty good. And obviously, he's going to be camping and doing some recruiting for LSU. Um, you know, obviously, it doesn't look to be a super strong defensive line year, which is kind of rare. Normally, there's at least one or two can't miss guys at that position in the state of Louisiana every year. It's not our absolute strongest position, but still. Now, as far as nationally is concerned, once again with the new staff, you got to reestablish all these new relationships. But you guys are familiar with some of the names. Obviously, we talked about Dante Moore. That would be huge, the 5-star out of Michigan. And then Jayden Wayne, the 5-star defensive lineman out of Washington. And 2023, it's still just so early. I'm still learning a lot about a lot of the out-of-state guys. Once again, my favorite player, there is some bias involved in this, I must say, but DJ Hicks, I love him. 5-star defensive lineman. He's the number 4 nationally ranked player. He came to LSU's camp and just tore people to pieces. He went up against Will Campbell a lot in that camp. And once again, those one-on-one pass rush drills so heavily favors a defensive lineman, but still, DJ Hicks took everybody to school. No one could block the guy. He's special. But, he would be a nice defensive lineman to add in this class, but it's going to be hard to get him out of Texas. So, yeah, 2023 class should be good. It should be. Now, we'll see. Yeah, but Memphis wins. Memphis wins a lot. They've won more than us. Yeah, it's been about the same, but they've gotten farther in the playoffs, and it's just a better. I'll say Memphis is probably a better basketball city than us. They don't have an NFL team. They don't have a baseball team. They have a great NBA culture. They do. And this is also true. I think the 2023 class is also kind of in a wait and see kind of thing, right? These are a lot of new coaches that are coming in from around the country. So, it's going to be a different change of how things are going to look. Hmm. I'll pull up the top 2023 guys right now. Okay, and I'll tell you, I'll go through my early evaluations, just looking at their huddle highlights and reading other evaluations of these guys. Obviously, Arch is really good. Shelton Sampson, to me, is my number 1 player in the state. Jaden Osbury, I think, is a really solid player. Obviously, Eli Holstein is really good. I like Derek Williams a lot. Amarion Miller, that's obviously really nice. Don't know a whole lot about Curly Reed. There's some people that think Zalance Hurd is a better prospect than Will Campbell. They were both on the same offensive line last year. Obviously, you have Jordan Matthews, Kylan Jackson, Trey Holly, who's very popular on this channel. Kari Preen and Ricky Collins. And then after that, and once again, we're still learning about a lot of these guys down here. Okay. Once again, there's going to be more names added to this 2023 list. It is still very early, but Derek Williams is a hard-hitting safety. Baron Davis, B. Diddy. I love me some B. Diddy. Yeah, Pegasus, but this would be a pretty clear retort to this, right? So Zion Williamson is loved by everybody, right? amazing personality, comes in from Duke, super clean personality there. So at first, we all thought David Griffin, who, his relationship with LeBron was very interesting. We all thought it was Griff who was causing the disruption between Zion. But as time moved on, we start to see that this has as much to do with Zion as it does with anyone. So Zion is super young. You're kind of forgiving of where he is right now. But JJ Redick kind of, laid it out. And JJ Redick defending the Pelicans and David Griffin for a fellow Duke and CAA guy is pretty crazy. But he did it on national TV and he called out Zion Williamson. So I think it has more to do with Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis than it does with the Pelicans. Because as you're seeing right now with this constant injury issues, Anthony Davis has a headache with the Lakers. So, two guys, it's not implausible to think that both of them are headaches. Now, could the Pelicans have done better? Yeah, the Pelicans could do better handling both of them. But this is not a situation where someone who had this sterling reputation came in and it didn't work out or whatever. It's more complicated. It's more complicated than the Pelicans just suck. That's my point, right? If you want bad ownership, you go look at the Kings. Christian Gray and Javian Toviano. I love it, Kyle. Kyle, you want to be our recruiting expert? I love it. So there you go. So we are approaching 2 hours. So here's what we'll do. Once again, we'll keep the chat moving. If we do get a super chat, if not, I'll answer as many questions in the next 5 or so minutes. Once again, I am nothing without your super chats. And our top super chatter of the evening, once again, King Robert. Shout out to him and shout out to Jared. Shout out to Max, who's obviously helped out a ton tonight. Shout out to Danny and all the super chatters tonight. I really do appreciate all of you. Yeah, I give JJ a lot of credit. And I've always liked JJ Redick. I know Paris is the biggest JJ Redick fan on this channel. Obviously, he could have handled his New Orleans situation a lot better. But still, JJ is a really good analyst. He's a really good podcaster, and I give him a lot of credit. He's transitioned nicely to his next life. Hilario, man. King Robert. To Bill Embody every day. Well, there you go. Bill's a sharp man. Colin and Derek. I'm a Derek guy too. Colin Jackson, I think you're mentioning. Once again, I'm still learning a lot about these young men. Yeah, Colin Jackson out of Zachary, a safety. Would be nice to get 2 Louisiana safeties. I haven't watched him. I've only watched Williams. I'm a little concerned about Williams, obviously, because your teammate goes to Alabama and your coach goes to Florida. And once again, Corey Raymond wasn't his coach, but Corey Raymond, as you know, is a new Iberia legend. So KAYSHON's still with the team, but he will be gone next year. So we'll see. Look, the thing is, imagine if you're okay. So true. South Carolina has great food, apparently. He goes to North Carolina. He goes to Duke, which is in North Carolina. So Zion played high school ball in South Carolina. Went to Duke in North Carolina. So you're a kid and you go to New Orleans. You're a millionaire. And you're going to all these restaurants. They're giving you so much free food. And that Louisiana sodium and cholesterol and carbohydrates can take over anyone's body, especially if you're a kid and you're able to eat unlimited amounts of it. It's different, right? Carrie says, nice hairdo. Huh? Huh? But yeah, Jack, you tell me, how do you feel about Kylan? He's a good player. Once again, that's not the criticism. I just haven't been able to watch it. I've been so deep in all this Walker Howard deep dives. And look, you guys know how I do my evals. I like to do a pretty thorough. I like to spend at least, 30. If I'm going to study someone, I want to spend 30 minutes on that player. I'll read, like I'll skim through all the kids' names and look at their rankings and look up their stats. It's interesting though. One thing I will say is I do like what On3 Recruiting does with their composite or consensus rankings. It's way simpler than the 247 composite as far as understanding how it works. Aaron, I would love some crawfish, man. And this is true, Roger. I'm not afraid to admit that players want to go play for bigger markets and play with more stars. I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. Still, it doesn't mean that the national media should go on an assault of a lazy narrative that New Orleans doesn't care about basketball. You guys know I'm not the media is against us kind of person, but it's a very real thing and it's not based in truth. Now, if it was based in truth, I would say, heck yeah, Sonics deserve a team more than New Orleans. And I mean, the Sonics deserve a team over nearly everyone in the NBA. But it's not. It's just not true. It's not true that New Orleans doesn't want basketball. I think he's interested, right? When you are an elite quarterback recruit and you could have gone everywhere, anywhere. And Jayden Daniels was an elite quarterback recruit, right? He was a top 5 dual threat guy coming out. You could have gone anywhere and you chose to go to Arizona State. It's not a premier program. So there's probably a piece of you as a top recruit that says, look, I should have tried to go to Florida. I should have tried to go to Georgia or whichever schools were offering him. So yeah, so there you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for all the support. Once again, thanks to King Robert. Shout out to Zachary joining the T-shirt club. Shout out to RSX joining the T-shirt club. I'm very fortunate to get to do this, and the only reason I get to do this is because of your donations. It's the only reason, I'm able to survive and feed Z and feed my lovely girlfriend. So, guys, thank you so much. And we're going to be doing some pretty big giveaways pretty soon, including some. If you're a Leonard Fournette fan, let me just say this. If you're a Leonard Fournette fan, you better stay tuned to the channel because we're going to be giving away some really cool Leonard Fournette stuff pretty soon. So, we will talk to you Saturday night for another live stream. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. So, let me take a look at this. On Tuesday, we might get our super special guest to come on with us. And tonight, we're doing some Indian paneer tonight. Let's go. Let's go.